I remember a conversation I was recently a part of, and I was talking about how when I was leaving my academic path to come into medical communications, freelance writing allowed me to build skills that allowed me to enter into this profession. And so what I was saying was that for PhDs who are looking to transition, maybe they can look at building up a skill and having some results to show for that to employers as part of their transition plan. And I remember the other person was saying that no, she felt that as long as you have a PhD, you have enough to transition and nobody should demand for you to show any other skills. If you've tried to leave academia into a non-academic job, barring going into something like research and development, which will often directly use your skills from academia, transitioning from an academic job to any type of role outside of academia can be a little tricky. And so yes, you are smart, as is evidenced by the PhD you've been awarded. However, a lot of the time, these employees, while they do acknowledge that your PhD makes you a really smart person, don't always understand what it all entails, and it's up to us to show them. And this is where Google Career Certificates became interesting to me. Now I'm going to get on that subject very, very shortly. But as I was preparing for this particular video, I was watching an interview with an academic leader, and she was talking about how the whole system of using degrees to assess how well a person may fit into a job should be reconsidered, especially considering the fact that a lot of standardized exams, university learning, they haven't really changed much in the format, and there are certain people whose intelligence can't always be measured by these formats. And basically what she was talking about was moving more towards a skills-based educational system that didn't just judge people on a degree or how well they did in university or with standardized exams. There was definitely a lot more to it, but I feel like it's really related to this. Now, just about a year ago, LinkedIn also came out with an article where they were talking about how there has been a shift in the hiring environment of more and more companies hiring people based on their skills. And yes, the degree is nice and it's a big shiny marketing tool, but a lot of companies are focusing on skills. And this really helped me solidify what I wanted to say in this video about Google Career Certificates, and if you as a PhD should consider them as you look to move into a job outside of academia. So what are Google Career Certificates? I'm sure you've seen ads for them. I know I have. I don't know if it's because I was researching them, but Google Career Certificates are a group of online courses that have been put together by Google in conjunction with Coursera. Coursera is a very well-known online course portal, and these courses are available for fairly cheap, and even at some points in the year, some of them are free. And there are different types of these certificates. You have the one in data analytics, you have IT support, you have digital marketing, you have a few of them. And if you stay to the end of this video, I will share with you my top 3, the ones that I think are the top 3 for PhDs, master's degrees holders. If you stay to the end, I'll share that with you. So the number one reason why I think getting a Google Career Certificate could be useful to you as a PhD or master's degree holder is that there's so many skills we pick up during the course of our studies. However, we don't necessarily have a certification that says you are certified to manage projects or you are certified to do digital marketing, for instance, right? We may have picked up the skills, but sometimes there's not anything necessarily legitimizing the fact that we have those skills apart from the fact that we have a PhD or a master's degree, right? And so in my mind, I see these career certificates as a way for you to say, okay, I'm legitimizing the fact that I picked up these skills in lab, right? And now there's a certificate I have from Google that certifies that yes, I have learned the formal foundations of this particular professional line, and therefore I'm certified. So it's just another extra layer to convince that hiring manager or that employer or that decision maker that you could do the job. And in my mind, this is one of the reasons why I think a Google's career certificate can be invaluable for you as an advanced degree holder. Also, let's say you want to go into something. So I was just talking about, for instance, project management. Maybe a lot of us, whilst we're in graduate school, manage projects, right? We manage projects as part of the degree, but we may not fully comprehend what it means to, let's say, manage the finances of a project, or manage certain timelines on a project, or that people go and get PMP certifications for project management to handle multi-billion-dollar projects, right? And so having this formal foundation will give you a better picture, a broader picture of what project management is. Okay, let me use myself as an example. I'm not a project manager, but I do work in medical communications. I started out as a science writer. Now, before I came into this profession, I had been in academia, right, for a really long time, but somewhere in my postdoc, I started a freelance writing business. And in this freelance writing business, this is where I learned things like search engine optimization and what all those terms meant. This is where I learned how to format a blog post. This is where I learned how to use H2 tags and all these other things. This is where I learned a lot of the marketing terms I know that currently allow me to do the job that I'm doing. Right now, I could have sat down and said, oh my goodness, I have a PhD. Of course, I can learn these marketing terms once I'm given the chance. But here's the deal. A lot of hiring managers, a lot of decision makers, they want a lot of people who can hit the ground running. I know. A lot of people are going to say, but that's not fair. The world is not a fair place. This is one thing I've come to learn and accept. And, yes, I try to do the best in my corner. But the point I'm trying to make here is this, that if you can show these people that, yes, in your PhD, you may have had some knowledge of the subject, right? During my PhD, I had some knowledge of writing because I wrote my dissertation, I wrote papers, right? But I didn't have an understanding of the different types of documents that I may be required to write once I entered scientific writing. But then, because I built the skills on my own, and then I had a portfolio to showcase, right? I was able to legitimize, and this is why I'm talking about legitimization of skills and legitimization. Anyway, okay, let's move on. But this is why I'm talking about making the skills look legit, right? You have something to show. I'm a big advocate for having proof of your skills, right? And proof of your skills is not just writing it on your resume. Sometimes it's a portfolio, sometimes it's a certification. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and comment below and let me know you're still watching. Another thing I really loved about the Google Career Certificates is the fact that these skills can be applied in a variety of settings, right? So if you look at the skills that are taught within these courses, data analytics, project management, UX design, they can be applied in a plethora of fields. And so you can work in finance and apply these skills. You can work in healthcare, you can work in biotech, tech, education. These certifications, in addition to your degree, can give you access to various industries. And I think that's amazing. The fact that you can do these courses 100% online at your own pace is also a big selling point for me. And one of the reasons why I highly recommend them, because you don't need to go take classes anywhere. You don't need to drive your car anywhere. You can, as long as you have an internet connection and can signing into the courses, you can take these courses and allow them to help you go where you want to go. So that's another selling point for me, is the fact that it's 100% online and you can do them at your own pace. Another really cool thing I found when I was just looking at this is the fact that these skills are recognized by multiple companies, including Google, Salesforce, Adobe, T-Mobile, Wells Fargo. And if you go on their website, it says that 150 plus US hiring organizations are in Google's employer consortium. And so I think what this means, right, when I was looking into this, I think what this means is that they have a pool of employers and hiring managers from these companies that are looking for people who have these skills and who have certified through Google career certificates for these specific skills. By the way, this video is not sponsored. I just made it, just because I wanted to make it. I thought it was interesting, right? So I'm not saying any of these things to get a commission or anything, just so you know. Okay. They also promise through these Google career certificates, promise resources like mock interviews, resume reviews, and coaching sessions. And you know something, I've heard people sometimes say, oh, I don't need a coach to get a job. And in some ways I understand where they're coming from, because sometimes this industry hasn't, there are people in this industry who've taken advantage of people, unfortunately. But I do think that getting somebody to review your resume is so crucial. I've had the opportunity to, for free, just review people's resumes, and sometimes I'll just point one or two things out to them that they need to tweak, and that has changed the trajectory of things for them. So sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You don't even know that you're making a mistake in your resume that is getting you eliminated, whether it's going through an automation system or not. I've had people reach out to me and say, hey G, I think my resume is being weeded out by an automation system. I'm like, how do you know that? Right? Yes, these systems do exist, but how do you know that? How do you know a person didn't review your resume and decide that based on a few things that they saw that in their minds you were not qualified for the job, right? So whenever you're writing your resume, don't just write it like you're writing it for an automated system. Yes, keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that there are human beings sometimes behind these jobs that are maybe really looking at your resume, and therefore there are certain mistakes that you should avoid. I remember somebody reaching out to me recently, and they were trying to get a job at the company where I work, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and they had a PhD. They wanted to get into project management within biotech, and I was just having a conversation with somebody that was close to that position, and what I learned was that yes, they saw that the person was, showed that they had these skills, but they wanted somebody who had an understanding of the biotech industry. And that was the mistake that this person was making on their resume, was nothing they were saying was related to the biotech industry or showed an understanding, right? And so maybe a few words could have helped with that. When I was writing my resume for science writing, in the beginning, I was just using my academic CV, and later I learned that that was a mistake. So even just having somebody tell you that can be life-changing. And I think that the fact that you get these types of services through the Google Career Certificates program is phenomenal. If you are in a place where you cannot spend a lot of money on career coaches and resume rewriting services, then this could be something that ends up being, you are achieving two goals with one move, right? And so for this reason, right, I'm in, like the sharks like to say on Shark Tank. So those are the reasons why I think it would be phenomenal for you to look into these Google Career Certificates. Now, let me talk about the ones that I ranked the highest on my list, okay? I based this ranking on how versatile these skills are. That was the first criterion. And also, how much these careers are projected to grow according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So number 3 on my list is project management. Project managers coordinate budgets, schedules, staffing, and other details of projects, and they usually will manage the project from beginning to the end, and there are various aspects that they're usually in charge of. Now, this career path is projected to grow by about 6% up until 2032, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Number 2 is data analysis. And data analysis can be used in various industries. It doesn't matter what the industry is. Data is always important for decision makers to make informed decisions to move businesses forward. So you're always going to need data analysts. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, this path is expected to grow by about 32% up until 2032. Number 1 on my list is cybersecurity, and it's not because the projected growth for this particular professional path is 32% up until 2032, but because, like, do we actually see the kind of cyber attacks that have been happening, even with huge companies that spend millions of dollars on cybersecurity? This is a field that is not going to go away as long as companies exist, and companies really need to protect their data and their information and intellectual property and all that good jazz. This is a career path that is just going to continue to grow. Now, one of these career certificates that I'm going to issue some bit of a caution for is UX design. I have heard and been, had my ear to the ground a little bit. A lot of UX designers talk about how the market is saturated with academics who are leaving academia and coming into UX design and UX research. Maybe not UX design specifically, but the UX area. Coming into this area, and because of that, UX jobs have become super competitive to almost impossible to get, right? So there is a Google Career Certificate for UX design, but based on what I'm hearing anecdotally from people around me, right, there is a bit of a funniness going on in that market. So yes, you can go ahead and get that career certificate, but just keep in mind that it is a wild market out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. I want to hear from you. Let me hear from you if this video was helpful and if it sparked some ideas for you on what your next step should be.